Yes, I can see you. I can hear you.
Welcome to the stream, my friend. How are we doing?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
I'm doing incredibly well. Where are you calling in from today? I could never know in Europe where you are.
Czech Republic, just outside of Prague, visiting family here. It's
We love to
beautiful.
see it.
We're literally there's a beautiful river here. So like 20 meters this way is a river. We take the boat out with the kiddos and yeah.
I love it. Have we got any robots like running around the grounds yet?
Yeah, actually, the ones that mow the autonomous robotics lawnmowers.
Awesome. Brian, give
Couple
us.
cou- couple pe couple people actually here in the area have them, and I was like, wow, it's starting.
It's starting. Hey, look, what a better place to start building a company where they've got the robots just around you, right? You can start taking inspiration, make sure the data set's already there. Brian, give us some
Yeah.
context of you for the stream. I want to know everything. All things Brian, all things Revel.
All things Brian, all things Revel. Well, born and raised here, actually, Czech Republic. Left when I was 20 to pursue a career of a filmmaker working in Hollywood. Got an opportunity from a mentor to join some pretty big Hollywood epics. Was amazing. Worked in the film and tech along the side of the film, tech and real estate for about 17 years, and started some companies there, exited some companies, worked with some incredible people, just learned a lot, built a lot, and born and raised here. My wife also born and raised in Europe. We have now almost a 4-year-old daughter, and my parents and families always kind of flew in to visit us in America. Uh, actually, I haven't been back in 18 years, so like it was a bit of a culture shock. Like after I left, I just kind of stayed in America and then had my parents and family kind of visit there. Traveled around the world with the film and tech and stuff, and now that we have a kiddo, she's almost 4 in October, we wanted to be a little bit closer to the family and explore Europe too. There's so many wonderful countries here. And I've been brewing the idea for Revel for a while. Was looking for the right partners and for the right, who I want to build a company with. Um, I have a good friend of mine for the last 10 years or so. He's in tech, and I convinced him to come and join as a CTO. His name is Kamil. So he's like, I pitched him the idea. He loved it. So I was like, okay, before you join and quit your day job, let me go explore the viability of what we're doing. So I kind of did that for Revel. Yeah, and ended up here in Europe in the process of all of that happening. So we kind of started the company there, but I was like, let's start a branch in Europe as well. And I was here exploring some events and talent and people. Came across Kitty and Project Europe.
Incredible team.
Uh, Incredible team. Came across Harry and the 20 VC team and a bunch of other really cool people. And then they launched this like, hey, let's do this hackathon, right? Like Project Lovable. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then there was this one team, they made a really cool video, and I was like, wow, what an incredible talent. And I just dropped a comment. I was like, hey, let me buy your company right now. And that just kind of started that whole thing. Long story short, I don't know these guys. I bought their company for 20K, matched the grand prize of the hackathon, and basically like changed my wife's birthday plans. We were going to go somewhere on Monday. It was on the hackathon day on Monday was her birthday. So I
No
was like,
way.
hey, how do you feel about going to a hackathon and Stockholm instead of Prague, like a romantic getaway? And she was, but she's always supported me, had my back on everything. So she was like, okay, let's go to Stockholm. We loved it. Stockholm was amazing. Loved the people, loved the food, loved the weather. Although everybody told us that we like somehow managed to get the week where it was like the warmest week of Stockholm. So everybody's like, don't come in here in winter. Met Kitty, met Harry, met a bunch of people from Creatum, Philip, amazing. Met a bunch of other VCs and builders. The teams were just crazy. And, I was going to buy the product no matter what, but the team actually turned around and says, "Hey, what you're doing in Revel, that's really cool. Robotics, data, tell us a little bit more." And I was like, "Well, actually, one of the things that we're doing at Revel is we're digitizing real-world products, and we're doing that through like partnerships with big brands like
Hmm.
Dyson, Bosch, Milwaukee, Stanley Black& and Decker, IKEA, you name it. Like anything that you have around yourself, like when we were talking early in the beginning about the lawnmowers, right? There's like 15 companies in the world that make them. we go after those manufacturers, we go to the decision makers, we kind of pitch them the idea of like, hey, listen, the humanoid robotics era, the robotics era in general is coming. We're going to make digital twins of your products in order to train up, basically pre-train the robots to be able to use these products when they get deployed in the real world, kind of forward thinking, a little bit future proofing their product. And one of the things that we needed built internally was like a really great lead gen kind of outreach tool that can specialize in learning the industry,
Mm.
how, and kind of navigating the language of the companies that we're approaching, like these some really old-fashioned business style kind of executives and so on, and kind of warm up, go from bottom up to the company to the decision makers. Actually works really well. Like I got connected with CEO of like a major, like a $14 billion companies, and now I've got connected with many really powerful decision makers of these big corporations. So they built Ray, which is Revel Intelligence, Revel AI, and it was just like a outreach. So that's what the guys did at the Stockholm Hackathon, and we kind of created a whole new division for Revel of that because I think that tool can be useful to a lot of different companies, and so we're gonna push that kind of forward and see if other industries and other companies might have interest. Looks like they do because we already have like we've sold the very first license I sold to a friend of mine. She has a high fashion brand in New York. She needs help with lead gen and things like that. So we sold it to her, Vestume. Ksenia, thank you so much. She bought the license for a year,
Awesome.
20K. And then the following few days, basically through her connections and some other brands in the same industry, we sold another 4 licenses. So we did 100K in less than a week of 5 licenses, for basically ARR, I guess. It's a yearly license, but we kind of, these guys really believe in what we're doing, and they want to be kind of AI forward thinking, and so we give them the demo of what the tool can do, and even that day when we were launching, I got some soft LOIs from some other companies and some other brands. And then during that week, we had the demo calls and we talked, and I told them where we see the tool going, and they were like, okay, let's sign up. So it's been great partnership because we need the data from them of like how they currently work with customers and so on. So that's Revel Intelligence, that will be kind of be built out internally and with some of the guys from the Stockholm Hackathon.
Hmm.
Shout out to Charlie, David, Luke, Leo, and Henry. Amazing team. Love those
We've got them
guys.
coming on the show next week. We're looking forward to it.
Oh, super, man. You're gonna have a blast. And of course, I got a shout out to Kitty again for organizing this whole thing. It was just wild. And then, Revel, it's been a wild ride. I've got hit up by like 50 plus VCs and investors after the event, kind of, when people checked out what Revel is doing. And now we're got some big partnership with some pretty big manufacturers and some robotics companies. And we're here for the humanoid era, man, trying to accelerate the adoption, and the big bottleneck is data. The advantage that large language models have, the LLMs, was the the tokens, essentially the text, which
Hmm.
the neural nets trained, the foundational models you can train on, had like trillions and trillions of tokens now, and that's why that's why we had that ChatGPT 3 model with the GPT, style with the LLMs. We don't have that quite yet with the robotics. It's coming, and we
Is there a
want to
reason for
be.
that? Is there a reason why we don't have those data sets yet? Because we haven't invested that time in, there isn't any humanoids. It's not something that we've been concerned about for 10, 15,
Well,
20 years.
you have libraries and internet that has, I don't know how many decades of humans typing, chatting, sharing, and just token, one symbol of the text, and you multiply that by all of the text that's on the internet and everywhere, and you have trillions and trillions of data. We don't have behavioral or locomotion data for robots, like, hey, how do you move this, and the physics of it, right? Like this object has a weight and all the collision meshes. Collision meshes means like that's what makes something solid, right? So that the robot doesn't, like, you know, and one of the great examples of robots are being trained in all kinds of different ways, but simulation is where we see that's what Revel is focusing on. That's why we're creating the digital twins. Basically, we're trying to create a digital twin of Earth and all of the products and all of the materials and everything in it, so that we can have a high fidelity products that the digital twins of the robots can simulate in the simulation. The reason for that is like if you take a teleoperation, behavioral like reinforced training where you have an operator like a VR headset, right? And they're
Hmm.
picking some objects, kind of, they're basically becoming the robot and they're doing, you know, um, in domain randomized simulation on I think one or two GPs, you can achieve like 10 years of one robot training in real world in like 2 hours. So the scale is just, it's insane. So we obviously see that to be the way to go. However, we don't have a whole lot of data. The simulation engines are not quite there yet, like particle simulation and different materials, and so that's what we're working on. We want to be, the other day somebody asked me like, oh, like Scale AI, Scale AI say sold to Meta. So
Yep.
think of Revel as Scale AI for physical embodied AI. We are going to be the data layer that we're on a mission to build basically the world's largest library of digital twins of products, materials, robotics, in robots as well. And uh, when we do have this high fidelity world with true digital twins of one-on-one kind of clones of the real world products, we can actually achieve the training curvature of the usefulness of what the robot can do in the real world. It goes up exponentially, and so we're really excited about that.
Why
And that's
are
kind of
current
that's what we're working on.
why are current teleoperation methods inadequate today?
You got a human, that's the teleoperator, right?
Hmm.
So put 20 people in the room doing a task for 8 hours, then they got to switch shift, and you got another 20 people. And listen, I see videos somewhere in China, you have huge warehouses, bunch of robots next to them, standing a human, hundreds of humans in the warehouses. And this is how they are training certain robots to do certain things. With AI, you can do few of these tele operations, and then the AI can kind of, you do, let's say, 10 kind of movements and things. The AI can then kind of piece it together and create more data out of that. So you don't have to like do everything, but still, it's labor intensive, time consuming. Um, and, again, like you can do 20 humans, that's already 20 people doing this sort of training. You can just domain randomize that same training in a simulation 2 million times. You don't need 2 million humans. You just clone that same simulation. And domain randomization means that we slightly change things like gravity, friction, winds, temperatures, like the environmental, as well as maybe the product or other things. Have you recently seen like the fifth video of like a figure, one of the figures, Brad Addict's
I have. I think I
figure,
saw it, caught it on the feed in the timeline a couple of days ago. It was insane what they were able
folding
to
the
do now.
laundry or
Wow,
or or, or
the
putting
folding the
laundry in the
laundry, putting it inside the tumble dryer or inside the washing machine.
yeah. So they're doing it with their Helix model, right? So their AI, so the robot's kind of doing it on its own. There was some pre-training, and then it's a AI model but where domain randomization would be like, okay, you take that same operation that he's doing in
Hmm.
simulation, and you turn a fan on 2 feet away from the robot that's on a swivel, and occasionally the laundry get hit by a certain force of wind. Does the robot adjust to that? How does he adjust to that? Does he go and turn off the fan? Does he move the workstation? Does he rotate himself? Does he deal with it? Does he real time calculate the forces as the wind comes around, and other things like that, right? So um, that's basically domain randomization, and you can just scale that up to infinity, basically, until the training reaches hopefully human level, or approaching human level sort of manipulation, intuition of how should the robot work with the product, or how should he complete a certain task.
What? Why the bet on humanoids? Of all the types of robots to build training sets for or data sets for, why do you think humanoids are the ones that are going to win?
Yeah, it's a great question. One that I actually get quite a lot. And listen, my take on it is pretty straightforward. Like, my dad has a lawnmower here where we're staying,
Hmm.
and he bought it at Lidl, like, the Parkside brand, and it's lovely. It's electric. He likes it. And I was talking to him like, hey, when the robots come or whatever, like, why don't you get the autonomous one? Just having like a general discussion. He's like, it's a perfectly working product. There's nothing wrong with it, and it will do me just fine for another maybe 5 years.
Hmm.
So one reason is we want robots to work with the products people already have in their homes. Maybe going two, three, four, five generation like years backwards into from which they purchased the product, so that when you buy a humanoid in a year or two, they can pick up the tools and the appliances and the things that you have. Good example would be like manufacturers, where we see humanoids going kind of first, right? Manufacturing, warehousing. Imagine a big corporation that has a machine shop, CNCs, and they have some CNC machines there, let's say Haas or Siemens or Tornado or whatever. Uh, they have them for 5 years. They're not like, humanoids arrive, like, okay, we need humanoids working with that machine, with that model. We're not going to replace our entire machinery just because humanoids don't know how to work with them. So one of the things that, we want to do is like the world is kind of already designed for human. Good conversation I had with a CEO of a big company that makes basically bulldozers, loaders, excavators, and so on. Like the cabins and everything are made for human operation.
Yes, of
Um,
course.
their future models, combines like on big fields, like collecting crops and whatnot, right? In future, they might all be GPS and all that, and it's in many areas it already is, but you still have that kind of a human operator person sitting there supervising, doing ABC, knowing how to push all the levers and buttons to make the combine do whatever you need, or the
I
tractor or
guess
the
what if we
bulldozer.
had a humanoid doing that, right?
Exactly, right? Like, instead of changing the entire manufacturing line, which cost the manufacturer hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to
Yes.
develop over a course of, these factories take a really long time to build, to completely kind of go in and redesign and really implement autonomy. Yes, it will happen. Everything will go autonomous, and the combine itself will be the AI. Like, you have a Tesla, which is the robot, right? Really, it's a robot with AI software in it. Um, but in order to do the transition, the humanoids are going to be arriving faster, then the companies will be able to kind of reinvent all of their manufacturing processes and just eliminate the cabin out of it. So I think, and also now these machines are supposed to work for 10, 15, 20 years. So companies that just bought last year, right, like 2024, and spent, let's say, $100 million in a new fleet of equipment,
Hmm.
that equipment is operated by humans. So to solve for that, we need humanoids, right? We don't want to be retrofitting these combine. We don't want to be retrofitting these machines. That's very costly and so on. And then you have companies that bought 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, and so if we can get with that manufacturer, we can get all of their manufacturing schematics and all the details. We can create a digital twin, and we can train humanoids and robots to basically learn how to work with these machines like the back of their hand, pre-train them. So then when the company or the farmer or somebody buys a humanoid and says, I have this John Deere, or I have this, Bobcat or whatever, and just goes and grabs the subscription to that model or to that, behavioral pack of products, and immediately his robot unlocks the knowledge, and it goes beyond operation, right? They will know how to maintain the machine, how to prevent damage, and so on. You have this humanoid, which is not just the manipulation and the movement. It's got lidar, it's got thermal sensors, it's got sound and microphone sensors, right? So you could use a lot of the AI suite of the robot itself merging with the physical manipulation, and you can do so many really useful things, where otherwise you would have to bring different humans or experts to, like, hey, analyze this with this tool. The robot might already have, like I said, thermal and stuff. So maybe like a leak on a hydraulic hose or something, someone internally, the robot might be able to scan and see, if it has that suite of sensors, it might be able to see where it is and immediately get in to the fix.
I've got to ask you know, like when we talk about the like the engineering equipment, which all has all of the pressure clicks, so almost like the gun elements, right? Where there's a certain amount of pressure that you have to press. How does a robot, or how do you build a data set around that? It's been on my mind since we first talked, and it's been as I've been using tools in the house, I've been thinking about how I intuitively know the pressure that I can press a button with. How do you teach a robot that?
Yeah, great question, man. So basically, you have to create a truly one-on-one digital twin of that product, which
Right.
means that we go into the depth of like, okay, hand drill, to screw something in or hang your picture, right?
Electric
You
screwdriver,
drill,
whatever it might be.
yeah, electric screwdriver, exactly. Has a torque, has speed variation, and it has that trigger that you were talking about. On the manufacturing level, there is a call out for the material and there's a call out for the spring. We then go into the metadata of what is the force feedback of the spring, meaning when you push on it, how much force is giving back. And that's the data we give to the robot. So he knows, okay, there's this much force feedback from that button pushing back on his finger. And as he squeezes one, few times, the internal AI will also learn from that. So there's combination of like, AI learning, behavioral reinforced training, and that pre-training in the simulation where we actually put in all of that data, these forces, the material, and all of that. We put that into the digital twin of the product. So when the robot picks it up in a simulation, it's already kind of the information's there. He can kind of see, like, the way you saw Matrix, right? And everything went green and all the, you could see everything. That's what the robot sees. He can see all of the parameters. He can see all the forces. He can see what kind of torque, how much power there is in the drill, and, all those little details.
And because you know the
There's
force of the
obviously
spring, you can therefore make the math calculation of how much pressure is required to click the button.
100%. Yeah,
I
exactly.
love it. We love the world that we're about to go into. I think about iRobot a lot when we have these conversations, right? It's like the robots on the robots on the truck and moving around and everything and sort of jumping off and
Yeah.
jumping on. Would you let your kids be around them?
Well, I think 1X uh, started up, well, beyond startup now. They've been doing humanoids now for a very long time. I think they have the Neo Gamma, really cool humanoid. Kind of wears clothes, really cool. Forgot the founder's name, a super cool guy. I think he's out of Stockholm as well. But they're in San Francisco. Anyway, so well, I think they're deploying a bunch of them. I think 100 or 1,000 at the end of the year into people's homes. They went like humanoid in household. Like that's their focus. I saw a video of some demo of their Gamma robot using like a vacuum, or cordless vacuum. It wasn't much of a vacuuming, but the idea was there, right? And I think that's going to improve over time. And now they're going to deploy 10 robots into people's homes, and they're going to keep learning there. And as soon as one robot learns something, the entire fleet learns.
Hmm.
The safety question, like around your kids, right? Um, yeah, it's a good question. I think so. I think there's going to be a learning curve. I think there's going to be some adoption and safety protocols that we kind of have to work out. This is why I see majority of the humanoids manufacturers deploying robots um, into factories, warehouses, and construction sites, where sort of you have a little bit more freedom of in terms of safety, and there's you know safety protocols, and people are kind of in a working environment that they understand. There's machinery, and you kind of already have some how home and household is a whole nother level. Hey, funny thing about the word robot, by the way,
Tell me,
that that's a Czech word that's
is it?
invented by it's yeah, robot. Robot. It's from a writer, science fiction writer, Czech science fiction writer, early on 19th century, I think, and science fiction writer Karel Čapek, and he's the first one ever to write the word robot in and make like, hey, that's a machine, robot. Just a little factoid.
I love it. Hey, look, we got some incredible definitions coming out of Europe with the start of something, and I think Revel is sort of bringing that to life in a way that we would never even think about. It's like, and I think you've got to lean on the partnerships heavily, right? Whether that's the Dysons, the Bosches, the Hasses of the
Yeah,
world, the IKEAs, of building those data sets and allow or giving access to those data sets so that you can then train the robots, right? How hard, like, are the
exactly.
partnerships really important in this because they have all of that data of how to build whatever the tool
Yeah,
is or
man.
whatever the furniture
Um,
is?
yeah, it makes it easier for
Ah, it
sure.
does for sure.
It's like imagine running around with like a 3D gun and scanning all the objects, and we really need this high fidelity digital twins. It just makes it so much easier, and so the scale of training can just go so much faster when we have it. And also, the huge benefit for the product manufacturers is having their product in the library that is already kind of pre-trained and ready to go with the humanoid. So when they go into factories and the factory is deciding, which drills, which tools, which other things that we are going to buy that are on the shelf, which orders are we going to make, they're going to go for whoever has that robot ready, which is our kind of certification layer, right? They're going to go for whoever has that little badge on their product. It's like, well, these guys already thought ahead. They made all of their products and all their SKUs robot ready, and all of their products have been pre-trained with various different manufacturers of humanoids and robotics. So, you know, they're super important, the partnerships. And I have to say, very well and positively received by everyone we've been talking so far.
That's
Um,
great.
I haven't gotten like a no from anybody really. It's more like understanding it, getting to know the like AI and everything's happening so fast. So many of these companies are just catching up on agentic and AI call centers and everything. And now all of a sudden you're talking robotics and other things like that. So crucial component definitely helps. And they have all the metadata and they have all the assets that we need. And so establishing those partnerships have been a really great foundation for what we're doing as Revel.
I see there's a
And
load of applications outside of just the construction sites. You can have these robots walking around once they've got the training sets on almost advertisements, right? It's like you could put them in Coke colors or Pepsi colors as an example, and you can have them roaming the streets and acting as vending machines or handing out objects. And you can really push the barrier on like what it means to be a humanoid and advertise using a humanoid as well. So I think there's a
I
lot
was talk
more than we
I
could
was
do, right?
talking to the IKEA guys,
Yeah.
and I was like, picture this: you take a humanoid, you have a family shopping around, you get your furniture, your flat stock, in the boxes, you get the receipt, you pick it up, then you go to the loading dock, right? You bring your car, and then imagine a humanoid, figure Tesla, Boston Dynamics, in the colors of IKEA with all
Oh,
the branding and
that blue
everything.
and yellow and white.
Yeah, exactly. Helping them load that stuff into the car. And then the family takes off. Humanoid continues walking to a bus station, gets on a public transport, figure out where he needs to go. Ding dong, on the door. Hey, I'm here I'm your IKEA companion robot assembler. And he comes in and he takes all of the pieces of the furniture apart from the cardboard boxes, puts it all together, right? Like if like IKEA furniture can be put together basically Allen key, hammer, screwdriver, and I think that's about it. And
And it
maybe
comes in the
sometimes
box, right? Like they all comes in the box these
yeah,
days. You don't need
yeah,
any electrical
yeah.
tools.
So like it might be helpful if the robot itself from IKEA already has built into his arm some of these tools actually as an extension, right? So collaboration between like a robot and tool company is something that we are also fostering at Revel, and we want to kind of help create these relationships. But yeah, like imagine that, right? And then you just kind of walk into your living room and your living room's all set up, like the wall unit's set up, the coffee table's there, the couch is all done, and two humanoids are walking and saying, "Have a nice day, sir," And it's just like a part of the IKEA's customer service experience. And, because unless you planning on making a dinner and have a glass of wine with your wife, in the evening, uh, and looking at it as like a, hey, let's assemble our IKEA furniture. I think this is exactly the kind of a use case where people will see the benefit
Do you think that the
immediately.
cost of the cost of that service will increase over time. So Archaea is a great value product, right? It's not cheap, but it's really good quality. Over the last couple of years, at least, has grown considerably better. It lasts for a long time. It's a good price or an average price that a consumer can buy. Do you think that adding in this sort of like extra layer of customer experience increases that price? Do you think they can get down the cost economics?
Yeah, I think they can integrate that into the cost of the item itself. I don't think this will, yeah. I think
And I guess I
I
guess
think they
looking
can
long term, you
definitely.
could probably go down the route of if something breaks, we can just send the robot out to replace it because it knows exactly what it needs to replace. Take it apart, put it
Yeah,
back
like
together.
like remember those times where like something, or if something is missing, right, in the robot immediately can, over the internet send to the warehouse, hey, this part is missing. Make sure you send another robot bringing this part I'm missing. So the human doesn't have to like, oh, I can't put it together. I'm missing this piece.
Just
Now I have to go to IKEA, say, hey, my thing didn't come with this. I need this piece. See in the manual, this one. The robot can just do all that.
Brian, this has been awesome. Like, I just want to know before you go, what's like long term vision for Revel, and what have you got coming up in the next like end quarter of the year?
I can't talk about it much, but we have a event inspired by basically Project Europe and Project Lovable. Really heavily inspired by Project Lovable and Project Europe. And we got something cooking for the robotics community coming up September. So relatively quick. Stay tuned. We'll have
Nice.
some announcements soon. Great people, amazing robotics teams from all over the world, top of the line kind of, engineers and companies, robotics and products, sponsors, and huge guest stars, like huge people in the industries. So really, really excited about that. And I'll share with you details and love to have you there as well.
It'd be our pleasure.
Yeah, and then long term, like long term vision, obviously, just accelerating the era of adoption of humanoid robotics. I think it can, if I'm looking at the bright, positive future of this soul, and I think in an era where, you know, labor is automated to humanoids, we could be sort of in the next chapter of human existence of abundance, where the true meaning of life becomes with, from things like relationship with your community and family and your children and creativity and exploring and, hopefully we see robots and humans among the stars. Big fan of SpaceX and, the idea of making life multiplanetary. Obviously, a lot of robotics will be deployed there. So being out there among the stars, asking the bigger questions and taking care of Earth, taking care of our planet, and going to renewable energies and sources and everything over time, and just making life great. As and people's communities support people's communities and things like that. It's just that's I think like a long-term vision. It's just we want to create something truly useful for people to have a better life. Uh, you know, they
I
can
love it.
spend
I
more
think
time
you're
with.
I think you're getting the world robot ready so that we can enjoy our lives.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing.
Brian, this has been an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to have you on again. We've got to get you and a figure humanoid on the show together, shaking hands or something in the Revel colors. I'm going to see you soon.
Let's do it, man.
We got to jump on to the next guest. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for the time.
You got it, man. Thank you so much. By the way, I really enjoyed being here, and you're great. So keep doing what you're doing. We're
Wouldn't
big
work
fans.
without
The whole
people
team's
like you.
watching. So, all right,
Appreciate it.
all
Thanks,
right.
Brian.